So I have a huge announcement to make. I'm moving to Spain! Yay! I'm excited. This has been my long goal ever since for 6 years. I believe it started. Wait, we're gonna tell a story. So let me put on my nerd glasses. Seems more appropriate. Huh, looks good. Alright, let's start. Ever since I was young, I've always loved cultures and languages, and I was always fascinated by these things. I will go through the Encyclopedia DK Multimedia, and I was just like intrigued by the different clothing that people wore, what they spoke, their just different interesting things. And at a young age, I used to think I wanted to be a doctor, and my parents were really excited. But yeah, that changed. Sorry, Dad, Mom, I'm not a doctor. But yeah, so in middle school, I took French, and I also took Arabic, but I did not complete any of those because as I progressed, the grammar in these languages were getting really hard, and I just dropped them altogether. But till now, I can still read and write Arabic. I just cannot speak it. But so I kind of turned to another language. I gave up on that for a while, language learning, and then one day, while we were visiting my grandparents back in their hometown, they were watching a particular TV series at that time, and it was called La Mujer de mi Vida. It was a Spanish TV telenovela, and although the series kind of was dubbed in English, I knew they were Spanish people, and the theme song was in Spanish, so every time they would sing La Mujer de mi Vida, and I was like, oh my gosh, so romantic, I love this language. And I believe that's where my love or my interest for Spanish spiked, and I signed up for a Spanish class during my junior year of high school. And my first teacher at that time was Mrs. Zola, and she was an amazing teacher. So while we learned Spanish, she also showed us videos about culture, the Spanish culture, and she also told us a story of how she went abroad during her college year to Spain. So she told us about the tapas and siestas and flamenco and all these stuff, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. I hope one day I get to visit Spain. And I didn't know exactly when, but I just knew one day maybe I will go. So during the summer of when I graduated from high school, I was confused as to what I wanted to do. I thought I was going into the science field, and I was telling my parents, maybe I'm going to be a medical doctor. And they were like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, you can't even look at blood. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I thought about, at one point I wanted to be a geologist or archaeologist because I watched National Geographic and geography, and I was archaeologist looking at the fossils and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then I took the class in high school, and I absolutely hated it. Thank God I did not do that. I'd have failed in college miserably if I did. But my dad told me, hey, what about business? Business is very flexible. Like, whatever you do eventually in your career, oh my gosh, there are ants everywhere here. But anyway, whatever you do in your career, business is something that is in every career or corporate life. Whatever you do, you have to face through business. So I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I went to major in business, and during the orientation for college at that time, they showed us about study abroad, and I was telling my dad, this is exactly what I want to do. I have to do this before I graduate. My dad was like, why don't you just focus on school, Like, my parents are very education focused or whatever, but they were like, I don't think this is necessary. But I was like, I'm going to do it one day. And then during the summer of freshman year, I went into the international office, and I was like, I wanted to study abroad. What are the programs? What are the options? And then they would show me the programs, and they were very expensive. I didn't have a job then, and my parents were not really willing to pay for something they didn't really believe in. And so I would tell my dad, trying to convince him. He was like, no, just focus on your studies. And so I was disappointed. I would go almost every year to hoping that there was a program that was cheaper. Although they had FAFSA and scholarships, it was still not enough. You had to have some amount at least saved up to support yourself. The scholarship wasn't a full ride scholarship, so that happened. So junior year, I had to like specify. Even though I was majoring in business, you have to have a specific major. So I went into finance and international business. International business, like I love culture and stuff, so it made sense to go into that. But my advisors had warned me that you cannot do international business alone, so I had to do both, or another degree. And my reason for finance was just for me to understand how money works. It's like something that is inevitable, and I think everyone should understand an aspect of finance in your life. So I did that. And I started looking for internships, because at your junior year of college, internships are very important. And yeah, I looked for finance internships, and I did find one. After grueling months of searching, it was crazy. Those were hard times. And it was in a very good company, a reputable company in my area. And when I did have intern, I was very happy. I was excited. I was like, I've accomplished like half a milestone of my life. But when I did the internship, it was great. Although it wasn't like anything I learned in school, you soon realize that in your career, what you do is kind of like almost 80% has nothing to do with what you learned in school. But it was a very good challenge. But I got it. It was a little bit redundant, and I realized. Because prior to my internship, I kind of gave up on study abroad because of the cost, and my parents were really not supportive at that time. And so I just like, I'm just going to do what everyone's doing, get an internship after graduation, get a job in a company or something like that. And so I realized when I did the internship, I thought to myself, like, anyone can really be trained to do these things, the accounting stuff. Almost anyone. And I want to be able to challenge myself in a way that I'm contributing to my environment or a company or to myself, that is more specific to me, that someone like me, or like I have that competitive advantage. And I started thinking, like, I love language and culture. How can I incorporate this? And so while I was in my internship during that period, I will search for ways you could travel or learn another language and earn money and so forth. And so, yeah, I found teaching English, and I went through a program so to do that. So after my internship, I took classes with that program, and I was also taking my school classes. So that was another crazy year. Taking classes and then doing that program to get certified to teach English. And yeah, it eventually came through. And so I had to decide what country I wanted to go to, and of course Spain was the first on my list. I wanted to go to a Spanish-speaking country because I've been learning Spanish. Even I continued learning Spanish in college, and it was an amazing time. But I wanted to further my knowledge about the language. So I went to, I started thinking, I thought about South America is closer to North America, but the pay wasn't that attractive. And if you want to teach English, just a note, Asia is the best market. Like, you're going to save a lot of money if you're going to Asia. That sounded amazing, but I needed to focus on my goal, and that was to continue learning Spanish. So I chose Spain eventually for many reasons. They paid a lot better than South America. It's closer to many European countries, and yes, and there were just. It has been the dream I wanted to dream country I wanted to go to ever since I was in junior high. So 6 years ago, I always wanted to go. So I was like, just do this. And I already saved a lot of money, some money from I had a job at the time, so I saved money. So this is how Spain kind of came along, and it was a long, even though I'm kind of shortening it, it was a long period of patience and perseverance and persistence and all of this stuff. And Alhamdulillah is kind of coming through, and I will be going there this weekend, and I'm so excited. I can't believe it, and my parents are finally on board, and this is all I could ever ask for. So yeah, that's my story of how I decided to go to Spain and my reason for doing that. And I hope that this experience I'm going through will improve me as a person, as personally or professionally. I don't know what opportunities this travel is gonna give me. I know traveling definitely gives you opportunity, but in terms of like what my future will be after this, like how I will change as a person, I do not know. I'm so excited and I'm nervous, of course, because I'm going to a country that I don't know the people. I know no one there. I don't know. I'm going to look for a job. I'm going to look for an apartment. So I'm definitely nervous, but you know, one thing I learned in my finance class is that the greater the risk, the greater the reward. So I'm hoping that this risk I'm taking will bring the numerous, abundant success into my life, and we'll see. Yeah, so now that I'm going to Spain, if any of you have any, you know, let me know about any cool places to go to. I'm a big foodie, so if you have any cool restaurants you suggest I should go to, comment down below. And yeah, I hope that this vlog I'm doing will inspire others as well to take a risk doing something they like. Okay, all right, have a nice day. Oh, and one more thing, if you want to see what's new with me, my experience, or tips I've got while living in Spain or any other country, subscribe or follow me down below at hijabiglobetrotter.wordpress.com. Okay? Have a nice day. Tenga un buen día. Muchas gracias.